Hey, it's another amazing day in Denver. We are living in Denver, Colorado, and today we are going to take you through the amazing neighborhood called the Pinery. We are in South Parker, and you are not going to want to miss this neighborhood. It is one of the most highly sought after neighborhoods in the Parker area in Douglas County, and we're going to get after it right now.
Hi, so I'm Michelle Wise.
And I'm Cheryl Crown.
And we are
living in Denver, Colorado.
If you're looking to make the move to Denver, or you already live here, then you've come to the right place.
Because we live here, we can give you the inside scoop on everything Denver, so please be sure to tap the bell for notifications and subscribe below so you're the first one to know the next time we drop a new video.
Yep, and while we love making these videos, we need to tell you that we are licensed realtors in the state of Colorado, but we make these videos to inform you. So if you're looking to know everything there is to know about living here, eating here, partying here, sleeping here, you've come to the right place. Make sure you give us an email or shoot us a text and we'll be happy to help you.
We get calls and emails every single day, and Michelle and I personally respond to each and every one. So regardless of your time frame, we've totally got you covered. So with that, let's get to it.
Yep. Okay, so today we are in the Pinery, which is a phenomenal neighborhood. We are sitting in the southern end of the city of Parker. It's actually unincorporated Parker, so there's a lot of benefits to that, which we'll get into. But this is like mountain living on the Eastern Plains and in the middle of the Denver metro area. You're not going to believe it.
Yeah, we are basically located on the northern end of the Black Forest. And the trees you'll see from the videos that we have here, that is tons of trees, lots of mature landscaping, and a whole variety of different kinds of homes here in the Pinery.
Yeah, actually the Pinery that's what it actually used to be back in the late 1800s. So the Pinery here, like Cheryl said, is the northern end of the Black Forest. And so back in the days before this was all developed, it was a forest, and actually some people say that this was actually part of the birthplace of Colorado, because some of the very first gold in Colorado, this particular area was one of those places. And so the mad rush or the gold rush came here. People were discovering gold, but fun fact is that actually, because there's not a lot of water here, like a lot of places in the Denver metro area, it kind of dried up the ability for these settlers to find gold, so they moved on to other parts of Colorado, up to the mountains, along the stream beds to find that gold. But the stagecoach actually kind of bordered the north section of the Pinery here and the west section. There were routes that the stagecoach came through right in this very area, and they would pull trees from this Pinery area to build houses and buildings that were developing in closer to Denver. Rumor has it that some of the trees here in the Pinery, don't really know which ones they are, but that some of them are as old as 200 years old.
Yeah, and the Pinery was one of the first master plan communities that was developed in the Denver metro area. So we have properties here that were built in the 60s all the way up to current day and time.
Yeah, there was a developer that came in the late 60s and the 70s and really planned this section out. Unfortunately, there were some financial issues that came across, in the late 70s and 80s, and so it kind of stalled. They actually sold the development to a different developer, and they started developing again beginning in the 80s. And so since then, even during the different market times we've had, this is still such a desirable area that the building has continued. So you'll see plots of neighborhoods. There's multiple different areas, kind of like communities within the neighborhood here, different builders, but even some of the older homes that were built in the 70s, you'll have a lot that sat empty for 20, 30 years and now has a house that was built in the 2000s or even, a couple years ago. So it's a very unique community in that sense. There's anywhere from the smallest homes in this neighborhood are actually townhomes, but they were built in about the 80s. They back to the golf course. So the Pinery has its own golf course here, a country club and golf course, but the townhouse is back to the golf course, beautiful setting, as do a lot of the other homes in this neighborhood. But they start off at the townhomes. There's small footprint homes of anywhere between 1,500 square feet all the way up to 5,000, 6,000 square foot mansions that are in the Pinery. So you get a lot of diversity in the fact of the different types of housing you can buy here. There's something for everybody.
Yes, absolutely. And you'll see, again, from the video footage, the townhomes, and then move into the Pinery, which is some of the older homes, and they're all custom. they're supposedly all custom.
All semi-custom,
Semi-custom,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. There's not a lot of homes that are alike here. And then you can move up into some of the newer neighborhoods. There's actually an equestrian neighborhood here called High Prairie Farms, 5+ acre lots, and they have white picket fencing where if you happen to have a horse, you could ride the horse through the neighborhood all the way over to Colorado Horse Park. And then you move up a little bit further into the Pinery, and you'll find the South Pinery neighborhood, which those houses were built in like the 90s. And then the Timbers, which is 100% custom neighborhood. You know, you can find anything from probably $900,000 all the way up to $3 million in the Timbers neighborhood.
They're beautiful, and most of the Timbers and most of the Pinery as a whole is very treat. Again, you have the golf course running through, some little areas like the lake behind us that may not have a lot of trees around it, but you'll see in the video, it feels like you're in the mountains. I mean, there's no other way to explain it, and so much so that it's kind of its own little microclimate here. Cheryl and I both lived here for over a decade each. There'd be times that it would snow here because the elevation is almost right at 7,000 feet high, and you just drop down into the valley, which is where Parker is, and there's no snow.
Definitely unique as climate-wise too.
But it feels like you're in the mountains, and that's what we loved about it. We would walk our dogs and our kids through the trees. A lot of the neighborhoods here don't have sidewalks. Some do, but most don't. And so you just really got that mountain feeling here on the southeastern side of the Denver metro area, which is something you're not going to really find anywhere else in the Denver metro area.
No. And the other cool thing is that there's also new builds here. So Toll Brothers is finishing out a project. Richmond American finished one out pretty recently, I'd say within the last year or two. And then there are still custom homes that are being built back in the backside of the Timbers. So yeah, you can find houses built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and you can also find houses built last year.
This year. Another unique thing about it here, there is an HOA, but in some areas it's a voluntary HOA. Other areas it's mandated, but regardless of where you are, the HOA fees here are super low. You're talking, you know, several $100s a year. And the highest HOAs are the townhomes, but that makes sense because they're paying for your roof and your outdoor building and things like that. So even those are only about $350 a year right now.
And the other cool thing is that we're unincorporated Parker, as Michelle mentioned earlier. And what that means is the tax rate is lower, like significantly lower. You definitely get more house for your money here because it is a little bit further away from, you know, downtown Denver and DIA, but you also enjoy the benefits of voluntary and low HOA fees and lower taxes.
Yeah, and it's not just taxes on property taxes. If you go to Best Buy and you order a television set to be delivered, the tax that they charge you is based on where it's delivered to. Right. So instead of paying 7 or 8% in Parker, you know, you're paying 3 or 4 or 5 maybe here.
I think it's 5.1 in unincorporated.
Is it now?
Ish, yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's been a few years since
I know,
left,
right?
so I don't remember exactly.
It used to be 4.
But either way, you're saving, you know, another way to save money that, you know, isn't afforded to you elsewhere in the Denver metro area.
The reason that the HOAs are so low is because there aren't a lot of amenities associated.
Right.
But you have the Pinery Country Club, and that has a pool, it has tennis courts, it has the golf course, obviously, yes, and then restaurant and bar and lounges. It's got a very technical golf course. I'm not a golfer, but I've heard stories about, you know, the frustration that some of my golfer friends.
Me too.
Yep.
And it flows through this neighborhood, you guys. So it's like mountains, golf course. You get it all in one fell swoop.
Exactly. And you can have a social membership at the Pinery. You don't have to do the golf membership.
A tennis membership.
So they have different levels, so it's not crazy expensive, but if you want a pool and that type of thing, it's definitely one option. Or you're only 10 minutes from H2 O'Brien, which is in downtown Parker. So
while you don't have it, if you're just, you know, if you don't join the country club, the city offers those things, so you can go and take advantage of that. And honestly, I mean, this is kind of like its own playground in of itself out here with all the trails and the lake. There's actually 3 HOA Pinery owned parks. They're just kind of your grass picnic type of facility, and then there's 3 county owned parks here in the Pinery. We're sitting at one of them here. This is Bingham Lake. This is a stocked pond, so they stock it with fish. You don't need a fishing license because it's on private property. And then there's 2 others. There's one over by the fire station, and that has softball courts, soccer fields, playground equipment. And then there's a very big regional park, the south end of the Pinery, called Bayou Gulch Regional Park, and that has soccer baseball fields.
Huge playground. You can skateboard.
It's got an off-leash dog park.
Yeah. Yes.
It has a lot of amenities. So while you may not have that HOA and some of those things, you have so much right here in your backyard that there's a reason, you know, that they haven't come in and built any of these pockets that are newer with a pool or something, because it's here. You can find it if you want it. It's a great way to save money if you don't want it.
Yeah. And the other thing that's unique about the Pinery neighborhood is Mountain View Elementary and Northeast Elementary. So we're in Douglas County School District, and it's one of two areas that has a primary elementary and secondary elementary. So Mountain View is where, well, both of our kids went to these schools, so it's near and dear to our hearts. Mountain View is K through 2. They also have a preschool program, and then Northeast is 3 through 5. So it's really very unique to have a bunch of, we call them knee huggers in the Mountain View community, where they're not really influenced by the older kids. For me, and I think for my children, it was a very special opportunity.
Yeah, and the middle school is just right here on the south border of the Pinery, as is the high school.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't have far to go, and they do bus in this neighborhood for the most part because there aren't sidewalks. So you're hearing about busing being cut around the nation for budget cuts, but this is a neighborhood that if, you know, you're not able to drive your kids, there are buses available because of limited or no sidewalks.
As far as Douglas County schools go, if you aren't interested in Mountain View, Northeast, Sagewood, Ponderosa, you have options for charter schools. There's a high school close by that has an IB, International Baccalaureate program. Our sports in Douglas County in general are amazing.
Top-notch.
Yes, yes.
There's a couple private schools, there's a couple religious schools. So you know, even though we're kind of on this edge of the Denver metro area, there's a lot of options. You definitely don't feel like you're in the middle of nowhere out here, even though you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere out here. So
yeah, it's a nice opportunity to decompress if you're driving home. So DTC is about 25 minutes. A lot of people who live here do work in the tech center, Denver Tech Center. That's what DTC stands for. There's also a lot of people who are pilots that live in this area. So DIA is about 45 minutes, but it's just a straight shot up Parker Road, and then you hop on 470 heading east, and you're there in 45 minutes. So that's nice and convenient.
downtown's probably a good 45 minutes,
Yeah.
but a lot of people here too also work in Colorado Springs because we
Right.
are on that south edge. You can zip down Highway 83 or over to I-25, which are the highways that take you south out of the Denver metro area. So, you know, again, a lot of options here for those of you that commute.
As well as Castle Rock proximity. So we're kind of like nestled in between the downtown Parker and downtown Castle Rock. You'll see in our Pradera vlog that they're a little bit closer to Castle Rock, so a lot of people do spend a lot of time in Castle Rock who live in Pradera, but it's very convenient for both. And you've got outlet malls in Castle Rock. It's a huge mall, and lots of dining opportunities and shopping, as well as with downtown Parker.
Yeah, most definitely. And, you know, you may be wondering, okay, well, what does my money get me? You guys are talking about like, oh, it's a great place to save a little bit of money. But, you know, we pulled up some recent sales, and the lowest price sale was in the mid 500s. That was a townhouse. The lowest price point for a single family home was at right about $615, and that gave you about 2,800 square feet, 4 beds, 3 baths, 2-car garage. You know, it wasn't the most updated of homes, but it was built in the 70s, so it had been updated probably in the 90s. And so, you know, definitely livable by all stretch of the imagination. And then the most expensive home that has sold here recently was right around $2.2 million, and that was in the Timbers. It was about 5,600 square foot ranch built in the 2020, was it?
Yep, 2020.
Yep. So that's going to give you 2,600 square feet up, 2,600 square feet in the basement. Not all of them were finished. There was a couple hundred square feet that were, you know, storage or whatnot, but that's a lot of space. And then there's everything in between. So whether you want something 750, 900, a million and a half, it's here, it's available. The options are definitely here for that.
And the other really nice thing about it is that the lot sizes are generous compared to the rest of what's happening in Parker and all around Douglas County and the Denver metro right now. So a quarter acre minimum, I would say, even for the new builds up in the Richmond American properties and the Toll Brother properties. So.
If you want a little bit of space but don't want acreage, this is a great place because it's not uncommon to find a lot here that's half an acre. That's very standard. I mean, and a normal size house, not anything huge, not anything small, just kind of your average run-of-the-mill size square foot house on a half an acre. That's easily doable here.
We also have a lot of clients who move to Colorado and they're like, we want views. Well, this is your place for views. Right now we're looking out over the Front Range. You can see Pikes Peak from a lot of the properties here. Definitely would meet that need if you're looking for a little bit of extra space, a little bit outside of the hustle and bustle of any downtown area like Parker or Castle Rock, and you want to have some views, you can see sunsets and amazing lightning storms. It's really remarkable.
Yep. So if you guys have any questions, wanting more information, thinking this might be the place for you, make sure you give us a call or shoot us a text, send us an email, get in touch with us one way or the other. We're here for you. And again, we're no pressure, we're just here to inform. But if you do want to make a move here, we would love to help you.
Absolutely, and please be sure to subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you'll be the first to know the next time we drop something else about this amazing area in the Denver Metro. And if you have any comments or you have any videos that you'd like to see, please comment below and let us know, because we really would like to do what our subscribers want to see. So, okay, well with that, we'll see you next time.
See you then.
Share the love.